Hello beautiful and welcome back to my channel and to this video where I'm gonna rank all of my Juvia's Place palettes. I don't even know how many these are, to be honest, but I'll pop up the number here of how many palettes I have. I have almost all of them. There is a couple that I'm missing, like the first Nubian one. I'm also missing the Warrior 2, the very neutral ones, but all in all, I do have almost all of the palettes. I'm gonna rank them from my least favorite to my most favorite, and hopefully this will be helpful for you in case you are looking into trying some Juvia's Place palettes to see how I would rank these. And if you haven't been here before, my name is Angie. Hello, I am a lover of fashion and makeup, especially colorful makeup. I am wearing a pretty colorful look today. This is going to be live on my channel tomorrow, but if you're seeing this in the future, I will leave a link in the description box to this tutorial as soon as it goes live. So if you want to see some more color on your timeline, if you want to see some more indie brands like Juvia's Place on your timeline, if you want to see some brands that you might not even have heard about, this is definitely the place to be. Do not forget to subscribe because I upload quite a lot of videos every week. This is gonna be the second time that I'm ranking all of my Juvia's Place palettes. I have done this before, but since then a lot of palettes has come out, so I thought I'd rank them all again, and I'll just slip in the new palettes throughout so that we can get a new updated list of the rankings. My makeup aesthetics is very colorful. I like bold colors, I like dark colors, I like deepening up looks. I am wearing something pretty deep and very colorful today, and I feel like this pretty much sums up my aesthetics. I like colorful makeup, but I don't like pastels as much as I like dark colors. I love a palette that has a dark, colorful matte. That is my favorite type of eyeshadow. So of course my makeup preference is gonna peek through when I'm ranking these, but hopefully you'll be able to maybe find your favorites either way. Maybe you're liking more neutrals, and maybe then you will like a couple of the palettes that are at the bottom for the exact reasons as to why I put them in the bottom. I am affiliated with Juvia's Place. I do have a code with Juvia's Place. My code is Angelica, so if you're ordering from Juvia's Place, you can get 10% off your order. You can even get 10% off sale items. Do keep this in mind when you're shopping sale at Black Friday. I know Juvia's Place is probably already having Black Friday sales right now. I will leave a link to their website down below, and you can use my code to get an additional 10% off the sale items as well. That is nice to keep in mind if you are shopping the sale at Juvia's Place. So we are gonna start at the bottom and we're gonna work our way to the top. Most of these palettes I bought myself. Even though I am affiliated with Juvia's Place, I'm not on their PR list. There is 2 palettes that I've gotten in PR, and I will say which ones those are when we get to them. But just, if I forget, I have bought all of these palettes except 2. The palette that I put at the bottom is the nudes. I just described my makeup aesthetics and you probably understand why this is at the bottom. This is very light, this is very nude, it has 3 shimmers, very nice quality, and 3 mattes. All of the mattes are very light. If you like light, neutral colors, if you like effortless makeup, something that you can just put on quickly and then add some mascara and be out the door, this palette could be for you. But for me, this is not a palette that I really reach for. I just keep it for reference, because the next palette that I'm adding is this one. This is the Taupes palette. Same thing. These are very similar to each other. I'm going to show you side by side. The main difference is that the Taupe is a cool tone palette and this one is more of a peachy neutral palette. So I hope you can see the difference between the two. I bought these two myself. I bought them in a bundle together with some of the other palettes that we're gonna mention in a bit, but I don't dislike them. It's just not my preference. And maybe I can say that I don't think any of the palettes that I have is a dud. All of these palettes do what they're meant to do, but these are just light neutrals, and since I'm not into light neutrals, they're just staying in my collection for reference. The next palette is going to be the Warrior palette. This is one of the palettes that I've gotten in PR. This one is more my aesthetics because it goes a bit deeper. This one has 3 mattes. I hate mattes like this. I barely use them ever. This is just a bone colored matte. I barely ever use them. I'm also not that into gold eyeshadow, so this palette, for those kind of reasons, are not my favorite, but I actually did reach for this quite recently. I did look for my members. I do have a membership here on YouTube. There will be a button down here that says join, and you can join my membership. You will get a happy clown next to your name that shows that you are part of the Happy Clown Squad. You will also get member exclusive emojis to use in comments and in live chat, and you will get member exclusive monthly tutorials. This one was one of them. I used this one together with some other Juvia's Place palettes, and I did a neutral look with the twist. But I will say, outside of YouTube, I never reach for this palette because it's just not my makeup aesthetics. Beautiful palette though, and you can go really, really dramatic with this. Oh, maybe I should say as well, I do have a playlist with all of the videos where I'm using Juvia's Place palettes. We'll leave that up here in the corner. If you want to see some videos where I'm using all of these palettes, because I think I have made videos on all of these palettes, you're going to be able to find them in the playlist up here. So maybe if there's a palette here I'm mentioning that you want to see in action, the playlist up here, that's where you will find it. The next palette is the Chocolates palette. This is more my aesthetics, and I'm putting this higher than this one because this one is all darker colors. And if I'm going neutral, I am going darker and I'm going matte. And even these two shimmers are like dark neutrals, so I will say I like neutral looks if they're matte and if they're dark. This one can give me that, so I do enjoy this one, and I like that it's smaller because I don't like my palettes are too big. Although Juvia's Place has started to do a couple of bigger palettes, and we will come to those in a bit as well. But usually I do tend to gravitate towards palettes that are not the 30 color palettes. I like 6 pans, 8 pans, 10 pans. I can get on board with like a 15 even, or even a 20 to be honest, as long as it's not like too big and bulky. The next palette is the Saharan Original. I feel like this palette is perfect if you are into neutrals and you're looking for pops. You're looking for something that will work together with the neutrals that you already have, but for those exact reasons, this isn't for me. The chat color is a really nice black color. I've actually reached for this quite a lot. Would Be is a nice olivey gold. I love Sokoto and Iman. They're really nice. Like, the quality of this is nice, but this is more like if you like neutral colors, but sometimes you go colorful, or you like to have like pops or interesting colors to mix with your neutrals, then I would recommend this. But it's not, I thought I was gonna like that palette more than I did. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. The next one is a palette that I quite recently mentioned in a video where I talked about interesting color schemes, and this is the Nubian 3 Coral. I think that the color scheme of this one is nice. This is a palette that, do you ever have that you're like laying in bed and you're thinking about what makeup you're gonna use the next day? Sometimes I'm like, I would really like to use this one again. It happens that this one actually pops in my head, and I do like this. It can go really deep. There is an option to go more cool tone. There is an option to do an all coral look. You can get a really poppy, colorful look with this as well. I like a palette that is a half neutral, half colorful, so that I have options. I think this is a nice, interesting palette, and if you like neutrals and you just want to dip your toes in the color, this is one that I really, really recommend. And I also heard a lot of people saying that they thought that this color scheme was very similar to the Natasha Denona Mini Sendo palette, the new one. And you know what? I kind of agree. Although this is just more shades for maybe even less money. I'm not entirely sure, but I mean, Juvia's Place is a really affordable brand. The next one I'm going to mention is the Nubian 2. This is the second palette that they came out with. This is a palette that still had those big pans, because you see here, they started doing, when they were doing like bigger palettes, they did smaller pans. So this one still had the bigger pans. This one can go so deep in jewel tones, and if it's something that I like, it is a jeweled toned eyeshadow. Love that. This Jezebel is wonderful. It's so beautiful. Morocco is wonderful. These like jewel tone shimmers here are really lovely, and there is a couple of matte options. Same here if you love neutrals, but if you love neutrals and you like dramatic eye makeup but you want to have some pops, I think you would really enjoy this one. This is a nice palette. I've had a lot of fun with this one. It's slightly bigger though, but the quality of this is beautiful. I will say though that if you're more into like the light the light makeup looks, maybe this isn't for you, because this one will go pretty dramatic whatever you do, because this is more of a dark and dramatic palette. The next one that I'm going to mention is a palette that a lot of people mention as their absolute favorite Juvia's Place palette, and for me it's kind of low down on the list, but I think it's for the exact same reasons as why some people put it higher on the list, and this is the Douce or the Douce palette. I never really got what it's called. Think this might be discontinued. I can't find it on the site anymore, but sometimes Juvia's Place takes something off the site or says it's discontinued, and then all of a sudden it comes back, so maybe this will come back as well, who knows. This is a really lovely palette that is slightly flirting with like pastels, but still in a Juvia's Place way. This is also half neutral, half colorful palette, but what I don't like about this is that there's only one like dark shadow, and it is this brown. All of the other shadows are pretty light, and I like when palettes are more dark, and this is more light. This is actually one of the few Juvia's Place palettes, except those two nude mini palettes, that's pretty light actually. Juvia's Place usually goes a bit deeper, but I think that this is also one of the reasons why a lot of people seem to like this, because this is a bit lighter, and a lot of people don't like the super dramatic dark makeup looks. And if you're that person, and if this comes back in stock, or if you find it maybe in Ulta or something, I mean, it's not bad quality, it's just not exactly what I love. I have used this one though together with other palettes, but on its own as a palette, there are a lot of other palettes that I prefer over that one. Now we're gonna talk about what I think is my favorite slightly neutral leaning palette from Juvia's Place, and that is the Nomad palette. This is one of my newer palettes from Juvia's Place. I actually picked this up not when it was new, but actually later. This one has slightly smaller pans. I don't know if you can see that the pan size is slightly smaller. I don't mind that at all. I actually quite enjoy that. This is a grungy green, neutral, yellow color story, and these are really, really lovely. I did do a look with this quite recently, and it is a really nice palette. If you were looking for grungy greens, if you were wanting to buy one of those khaki palettes, maybe you can save some money and buy this one instead. This is very affordable, and it is that khaki palette, green palette without being too grassy green or too Kermit green. It's more like a grungy, toned down, neutral and like green and yellow leaning palette. So I do recommend this a lot. And now we're really getting into like palettes that are more my makeup aesthetics. The next palette I'm gonna mention is the Afraid palette. I've had so much fun with this palette, and I've seen so many people say that this is their least favorite Juvia's Place palette, but I really like it. This is kind of a bright rainbow palette, and I will say I don't like the background. The background is really throwing it off, but this palette, I've had so much fun with this palette. I've made so many looks for this with this palette on my channel. I even did a throwback Thursday, I think, with this. It's basically a green matte, a green shimmer, a blue matte, a blue shimmer, a yellow matte, and then this like yellowy gold shimmer, red, and then there are some neutrals thrown in, and this orange. I like this. I've had a lot of fun with this. I don't know exactly why people didn't like it. Maybe it's because it is more of a rainbow palette, but I've had fun with this palette. I've done a lot of really nice looks that I really enjoyed, so I think that that is a really nice palette. Now we're getting into some of the newer palettes. This is the Wahala palette. This came out, I want to say summer. Did buy this palette. I made 3 looks, 2 looks, 3 looks. I don't know. You're gonna have to check the playlist. The reason why this palette isn't higher is because I like the other Wahala palette more, the Wahala 2. You're gonna see that in a bit. This one has 2 of the deeper mattes, and how many times can I say I like a deeper matte? If this one had had more deeper mattes, this probably would have been higher up. These like shimmers, this is a multi-chrome. This is a green to blue to purple. Yes, this is a multi-chrome in an affordable Juvia's Place palette. So if you were looking to get that purple, blue, green multi-chrome, you have this right here. If you want to see swatches, like I said, it's going to be up. There's a really nice sparkly formula. Here is another duochrome. There is some pressed glitters in here, and this is, I think, the first time that we saw pressed glitters in Juvia's Place palettes, and personally, I wish that we would not see that anymore, because I don't love pressed glitters. I really don't, but I think it is a trend that is coming and going. At least I'm hoping. But the other shades are really nice, and you do have cool tones and warm tones, and I love a palette that's a mix between a cool tone and a warm tone. The next palette that I'm gonna mention is the holiday palette that they released this year. This is the Nubian Glow. This is a 6-pan palette that's an orangey yellow palette. I don't like golds that much, but I love when things are really yellow leaning. This is really yellow leaning. I love a monochromatic orange or yellow look, or even an orange with a yellow. I really like this color scheme, but I understand that for a lot of people this will probably be a lot lower down, but love the quality of these shadows. There is a pressed glitter here. Yes, I wish that this wasn't here. But these 5 shadows are so nice. I really like them. They're good quality. They are beautiful. And I've enjoyed using this palette since I bought it. And I just think it's a really nice palette. I'm gonna mention the Nubian Royal after as well. This is the other holiday palette. I mean, this is just a little more my style because this goes a bit more deep. I loved the makeup look that I did with this. Oh my god, so pretty. And this is actually, I think, my favorite glitter so far from Juvia's Place because it is a holographic glitter. It is a holographic purple glitter and it's really, really pretty. And they changed the formula since the Wahala as well because this glitter formula was not as good as this glitter formula. They changed the binder so it's a little more sticky, so you can actually put your brush in here and put it on your lid without glitter glue and it will actually stick. So I did really like this palette. I thought it was a really nice 6-pan palette. If these hadn't have glitters in them, these would have been up top together with the other 6-pan palettes that we are going to talk about in a bit. The next palette that I'm going to mention is the Magic palette by Juvia's. This is still an oldie but a goodie. This is a hodgepodge of different shadows, but this is just a wonderful palette. I quite recently actually did a look where I incorporated a couple of these shadows. These 2 pinks are wonderful. This very yellowy metallic is fantastic. This green is so good. These 2 deep shadows are real. They swatch horribly, but they work so nice with the brush. It's just so... there are so many good shadows in here. This Faso is like a duochrome. It's like a plummy purple periwinkle duochrome. This is just a really nice palette. It's one of their older palettes, but it's still a good palette. And I feel the same about this Masquerade. I think that these 2 bigger palettes are now offered, so they are a bit smaller with like smaller pan sizes, and I think that that's really smart. I think most people are a bit over this big pan sizes. This is just such a good color story because again, I love a neutral colorful split. And this one is really yummy and you can go... It seems like these are all mid-tone, but I will tell you, these are very pigmented. These can go pretty deep on the skin. It's just a wonderful palette, and I will say these shimmers are just... And this Calabar, such great quality. And this is the oldest palette I have from Juvia's Place, but I still think that this is such a beautiful palette. This is such a great palette. Oh my god, it's beautiful. If this had like, for example, if this one had been a matte dark plummy purple, like this dark but like a matte, this would probably have been even higher up. I just think that this is such a nice palette. The next palette I am gonna mention is the Warrior 3. I think this came out last year, 2019. The front of this is just stunning with the ombre. So beautiful. This is a rainbow palette with almost all mattes and then 2 shimmers at the bottom, one blue and one like more silver, like steel blue, like it's very silver leaning but still a bit blue undertone. I really like these. I've had a lot of fun with these. I think that this is a nice palette. It's a nice rainbow palette and I have enjoyed this a lot. And these 2 shimmers are so unexpected and so pretty at the bottom. And I love this Gola shade. It's just such a nice sky blue matte. I think this is a nice palette and I had a lot of fun with it. Now we are going to mention the palette that I just recently got. And I've already made 4 looks with it, but I'm still going to rank it in at this position. And this is the Wahala 2. I don't like this front. I think it is too 80s for me. There's too many colors going on. If this had just been this fade with the orange to the green and without this pink thing, I think I would have liked it more. And the inside with all of these colors and the gold, it's too much. It's too 80s. The color scheme of the packaging is too 80s. This has 4 pressed glitters. I wish it had no pressed glitters. That's just my personal preference. But damn, this palette has some really yummy colors. Dark blue, dark teal, dark plum. This one is so smoky and beautiful. You can really use this in the crease as well because it's so pigmented. You can go so deep and yummy with this. I have made, like I said, 4 looks with this. This also has a multi-chrome here. This is one of those, a green going to a gold going to a pinky berry purple. Multi-chromes, again, in affordable Juvia's Place palettes. The only thing, I've said it so many times, I wish that this gray row here have had 1 or 2 matte grays instead of 3 like shimmery grays in a row. That's just a personal preference, but these are beautiful. Great quality, lots of colors. I personally like the square, small square pans. Just wish that this background had been something else. I think it's too busy. It's too busy, the background. I don't like that. But yeah, I like this a lot. I think the shadows are really beautiful. I did do a 1 palette 3 looks with this quite recently, and I really do enjoy it. Okay, here is an oldie but a goodie. I will never stop loving and raving about the Zulu palette by Juvia's. How am I saying by Juvia's? Everything's by Juvia's. I just love this palette. This bright green is just stunning. Look at this, how clean it looks with the white background. I love this. I love this. This is so pigmented, this duochrome peachy gold. The shimmers are so beautiful, the shadows are so wonderful. I've had so much fun with this. This is not maybe as sophisticated as this one, but I just love this. And it is a 9-pan palette, and I just had so much fun with this. I just think that the shadows just complement each other so nicely. I like this a lot. I really do like this a lot, but I will say that maybe these two are more similar, but if you like something smaller, I recommend the Zulu instead. Of course, not similar in colors, but similar maybe to how much I like them, if I'm gonna be totally honest. I have a soft spot in my heart for this one. It's one of my first palettes that I bought. Now we're getting into the mini palettes that are left. The first one I'm gonna mention is the Violets. Beautiful color scheme. This is purple, but this is more smoky and more cool tone than the other purple that we saw before. This one has 4 shimmers and 2 mattes. I like these, but I like purples that are more berry toned on me. Personal preference, and that is because I have a very yellow undertone. So I like it. I mean, it's really high up. I love this. I love this, but I like the berries one more, and that's why this is at the bottom of the 4 mini palettes that we have left. The next one is going to be the mauves. This is more my color scheme, like the mauvey berries. I like this one so much because this one has so many different options where you can go. 4 mattes, 2 dark ones, more cool tone, and 1 more berry tone with like a plummy red undertone, more a pink matte, and then a more cool tone mauvey matte. This is a duochrome that's so pretty. This is a pink to a green. Can you see? Pink to a green, very sparkly topper, duochrome. So stunning, so special. I don't think that this conveys how special this is at all, but I do have a look with this one. And then there is like a metallic, or more like a satin with a shimmer, to make a more sophisticated look if you don't want to go this shimmery. This is a very well-rounded, well thought through 6-pan palette that I think that this one suits the most people. I think that most people will like this color scheme, will like these shadows, and will be able to make something fun out of this one. The next one is, oh my god, I love this so much. This is the Sweet Pinks. Look at how bright this is. Look at how bright this is. These 2 metallics are the best 2 metallic bright pinks in my collection. Enough said. Wonderful. This is such a pop of color. If you're looking to inject a pop of color to your collection without spending a fortune, this is the one. Oh my. Oh my. And this is also a very bright and nice color scheme to mix together with other neutrals, because these are going to look so good together on your lower lash line or on your lid if you're doing a neutral crease. Beautiful palette. But my favorite of the 6 pans is the berries. I just love this. I love berries. I love berry toned eyeshadows, and this like dark like burgundy red. Like, this is such a, like, do you see? No, you don't. But it is, no, no one sees anything, sweetie. It's a beautiful dark red metal, like, Oh my, wonderful palette. Love these two, but I love this one a bit more because it goes a bit darker. Now I'm gonna talk about my top three. My top three is the exact same top three as I had before. The only thing that's changed is that I slid in some minis here. But my number three is the Festival. This is such an unsung hero in the Juvia's Place like collection. This is a beautiful palette. This matte red is fantastic. A fantastic true matte red, pigmented, wonderful. This is an amazing icy white metallic. You have a peach, a pink, a mustard. This like almost neon orangey peach. Then you have three shimmers. This is that, you know, I told you I wanted to see a comeback of the black metallics. Black metallic right here. Maybe I should use this one and do a look then. Or at least a black metallic. This is a fantastic palette. I reach for this a lot. I think it's a fantastic palette. I've said that 3 times now. They heard you. Number 2, I think this is discontinued. And I'm sad. I'm sad, but I don't see this on the website anymore. And it's like, I'm sad because this is a Saharan 2 and this is so good. And I'm so sad that it's no longer available. This is the best metallics that Juvia's Place has ever made. This tops everything. This is a duochrome. It is a gold to burgundy. I don't know if you see anything. This is also a duochrome. This is a bright yellowy gold to a peach. This is one of the prettiest peaches in my collection. Do you see that? It's this. I'm so sad that this palette doesn't seem to be available anymore. This is like a mint shimmer. Like, do you see that? I'm so sad that I can't see this on the sign, but I'm hoping that they're gonna bring it back, and when they do, snag this one. This is the Saharan 2. It is fantastic. It is 6 spectacular shimmers, 2 of them being duochromes, 2 of them being more like iridescent, almost like you can see like iridescent shades, that mint, and then also this like vanilla yellow, and then 2 more regular metallics, and then 3 mattes that complement these shades. Wonderful. This is a dark fuchsia matte that is spectacular. I love this palette so much, and I'm so sad that I can't find it on the site anymore, but if you see it, if they bring it back, get this palette. It's beautiful. Here is another palette that they said were discontinued, and then all of a sudden it came back. This is my number 1. Love the Tribe. They still have not released anything that's better than the Tribe. These are my 3 favorites. The Festival, the Saharan 2, and the Tribe. This packaging is so beautiful with the green, and then the inside is a gold. This is such a great green palette with a twist, because it has 1, 2, 3, 4 green shadows, and then this like vanilla green duochrome. It is very spectacular. And then this like khaki mustard green brown mix. It pulls very green on the skin. Then you have this like mustard brown metallic and 2 oranges. This is like a marker green, because it is very yellow, but it has that like green undertone, just like a marker has. This shadow, the coral one, the one that has like a green undertone, it is very, very cool. Like, do you see that it has a green, it's like a duochrome, it has a green undertone. I like this palette so much, and now it's back in stock. They said it was gonna be discontinued, but then all of a sudden, after like being out of stock for like half a year, it's back in stock. Get this before it sells out again. It's such a nice palette. Really do recommend that palette. And I would say, if this hadn't been out of stock, I would have said start here. Start with these palettes. But since this is out of stock, and since this one has that like berry color and the peach here, maybe I would say pick up one of the mini palettes as well, that the one that like speaks to you the most. This one is my favorite, of course, because it goes very dark and because it has that yummy berry wonderfulness. But those are my favorites. That is my ranking. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments. Also, let me know, what would you like to see Juvia's Place release in the future? Let me know. Personally, if I could choose, I would have a 6-pan palette with 2 blues, 2 greens, and 2 yellows. I'd love that. Can we have that? Because I'd love that. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm gonna have this look right here, the one that I'm wearing. I'm gonna have that live tomorrow. I hope I will see you then, and I hope I will see you then. Bye!